Thank you for staying with us. So over 5,000 medical doctors have migrated to the United Kingdom in the last 8 years. This is according to the Nigerian Medical Association. Studies show that the migration is closely linked with their desire for better salaries, more opportunities, as well as structured health system. While many have been granted visas to leave the country, the House of Representatives may succeed in reducing these migration numbers with the amendment of the Medical and Dental Practitioners Act by proposing that all Nigerian-trained medical doctors must serve in the country for a minimum of 5 years before they are given a full practicing license. Although this bill was a move to check the mass exodus of medical professionals from the country, some doctors have rejected it, calling it an anti-people bill. Joining us via Zoom from the United States of America is a medical doctor and convener of Social Rehabilitation Grace and Support Initiative, Dr. Marindoti Oludari. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Right. I wonder what came to your mind when perhaps you listened to the member of the House of Reps making this statement, trying to push his arguments with regards to this matter, that doctors must spend 5 years before they get their license.
Well, so for a lot of my colleagues that I had a conversation with, they were exasperated, but I was appalled. Because, and I'll try to be as politically correct as I can, but this law is STOOPED. It is just stupid. And
all right, choice of
why
words.
Is it stupid?
Choice of words,
it is
please.
Because I'm sorry.
You even misspelled it. Just as well that you misspelled it.
I know, and that is why I misspelled it.
So you didn't say it.
Allow me that it is. Exactly, because you know what? This law cannot achieve its aims. And that is why, people need to study a problem that they are trying to solve. If you want to solve this problem, you will first ask yourself, what are the things that are required for doctors to get accepted in the places they go, like the United States? They don't care about our practicing license. They just want to know you graduated from a medical school, and then you take their own exams and then get their own licenses. In the United Kingdom, before you write your PLAB, all they just want to know is that you have 12 months of work in a teaching hospital. And even if you don't have that, you can go and do your housemanship over there. Maybe it's a little more difficult than being a medical officer. But this law is not structured in any way to achieve any of its aims. Canada is also like the United States. You have to take the laws. There are multiple things that are responsible for what is going on in Nigeria right now that the members of the Green Chambers could have been addressing. One thing is the capacity. When I was in medical school, my matric number was 180. We had over 200 people that were enrolled into school, and then 2 sets after me was also above 200. But then from like 2008. They came up with a policy whereby they said it's accreditation policy to reduce the number of medical students that universities can admit. So the only university that can get close to 100 is probably OAU, Ibadan, and maybe a few other schools. Others are probably like 50 or 30, some maybe even 10. And so if you think about it, this started like 2008. And at the time, they came to us, they said we're making half-baked doctors, so they want to reduce the number so that, they can focus and make the training much more intensive. And my question to my friends at the time was that if a cake is half-baked, do you blame the cake or do you blame the baker or the oven or the factory? And the rumor at the time also was that it was a trade-off. Now it's a rumor, but it was a trade-off that for the increment in the salary of doctors, that the government wanted doctors to train less number of doctors. So if you have for almost 15 years reduced the number of doctors that you are training, Nigeria is not the only country hemorrhaging doctors to developed countries. Since the days of John the Baptist, doctors have always left third world country to better climes. India and Pakistan have significantly more number of doctors outside. The problem is that we have reduced the number of doctors that we are training. Now, I understand setting up, standards and all of that. But what about building capacity? This is what you can get, but this is how you can improve that capacity so that you can still train more doctors. So when they started that back in that day, that is definitely going to cause a shortage because not everybody that gets into medical school will get out of medical school. And not everybody that gets out of medical school is going to practice medicine. Now, not everybody that will practice medicine will want to practice in this country. And then that also coupled with what I call a emaciation of the Nigerian economy, whereby the value of Naira is worth a lot less right now. And I can give instances of my own particular experience in Nigeria. When I graduated, I was earning about 180,000 Naira in 2012. And that was like about, $1,200. That was enough for me to survive back then, considering the standard of living in Nigeria. But right now, a doctor earning about that same 180,000 Naira is earning maybe just about $250. And then that coupled with the whole security situation in the country, because doctors are the most prime target of kidnapping. As a matter of fact, doctors know there's a kidnapping price for doctors once you are a doctor, once they know you are a doctor, because they know your doctor colleagues are going to, rally around, contribute to pay your ransom and all of that. And also with the whole, depression that doctors go through just trying to get through, training, doctors have to use their money sometimes to pay their patients' fees. They want to train themselves to become consultants to be able to render quality services to their, constituents, but they have to use their own money to buy equipment that they will use on their patients. The government is not supporting all of this. And you want people to have job satisfaction and fulfillment and stay there. Up until when I left the country, my mother was paying my rent. And she had already retired. So I was a medical doctor liability on my parents because what I was earning is not sufficient. I graduated 10 years ago. I could have had a child that would be in secondary school right now. The same secondary school that my parents were able to send 4 of my siblings, I can't even afford to send one if I was working in Nigeria and earning money as a medical doctor. So faced with all these economic challenges, how do you not expect doctors to go out there where they are being treated better? You get out here, you can get access to loans, you get better salary, the people love you.
All right, Dr. Maridoti, let's quickly take again the member of the House of Reps argument with regards to this matter. Then we'll come back to you with our question.
Or dental practitioner to practice in Nigeria for a minimum of 5 years before granted a full license by the council in order to make quality health services available to Nigeria.
All right, that's the member on the floor there making an argument that is for doctors to be able to render quality health services in Nigeria before they are let off. Sam, you wanted to ask a question.
Somebody looking at the points you have made, will think that these doctors are just speaking from their own commercial and career point of view, but they've forgotten that even the Hippocratic Oath also subjects you to social service. If all doctors leave Nigeria, for instance, you probably, let me put it this way, if all doctors left Nigeria the way they are living now, probably a woman in the village, a traditional midwife, will have given birth to you. But that is the kind of the flip side of the situation. It seems that the doctors are only looking at their own personal and commercial responsibilities. The doctor's responsibility is also societal. And they're not saying that you should stay in Nigeria forever, but maybe it's sort of a 5-year National Youth Service Corps rather than a 1-year service corps. Why would the doctors not even look at that perspective?
Thank you very much. And first off, I'll give an example of one of my bosses. He was a distinction medical student when he was in medical school, and he went on to become a gynecologist. This man, I was following on LinkedIn, he went to the United Kingdom to learn a particular child interventional surgery. They wanted to keep him. He came back. His name is Ibrahim. Anybody you will know him. He posted it that Nigerian mothers deserve the service he has gone to learn. My own father, I could remember as a child, once had a patient that he operated on, and then the family members could not pay the bill, so they abandoned their mother on the hospital bed. My father fed that woman for 2 weeks and then had to tell her to go. Now, granted, that woman was a nice person. Maybe like 2 years after, she saved all the money and came back to pay. So Nigerian doctors are constantly rendering services. There are a lot of Nigerian doctors who come home on medical interventional tourism, whereby they come back to Nigeria to give, the services that is needed. But I think one of the confusion that Nigeria has always had is that we are still drinking this kunu of free healthcare. Healthcare can never be free. You have to use consumables. You have to pay doctors. CT scan, nobody is going to afford, give it to Nigeria out of social services. So the way to build our healthcare is to build our economy, and the healthcare and everything will follow suit. As a matter of fact, there are even too much doctors for the system to absorb in Nigeria. The doctors that are back home, a lot of them don't have jobs. They finish residency, they don't have a place to get absorbed. That's why there are a lot of consultants who have left Nigeria to be driving Uber in the United States. Not everybody, it is a lot of culture shock. I know back when I was still practicing, I know a lot of my consultant bosses whom after the exam, they'll be having USMLE conversations. It is about job satisfaction. So it is not just about the fact that they don't want to give back. A lot of Nigerian doctors remit a lot of money back to Nigerian economy. Nigerian doctors are patriots. A lot of us want to come back. But let's assume I went to train. I am not practicing, but let's assume I went to train. I'm an interventional radiologist. I need to have a CT scan available for me to be able to do a lot of the things that I want to do. But for you to have, Nigeria has about less than 200 CT scans for 200 million plus people. So how do I get to do the investigation that I need to do to save a life within 30 minutes? So those are the things that are making it is the way the system is structured. It is impracticable for quality, which was what was said, quality healthcare to be given. And also, what also dismisses that quality healthcare is that there's so much training that you can give a medical doctor in 5 years post-medical school. So he is not going to, he will just be learning how to effectively treat a lot of malaria by the time you're saying you are leaving it. So it is the real quality is being able to keep, and that was what MDCN said too, being able to keep the experienced doctors. Not for me to be trying to go and to jackpot out of Nigeria. And then I met my own teacher who is in his 50s trying to live too because he's disillusioned. We don't like to lose patients. We don't like to be operating as a medical student. My neurologist was trying to open up a skull with a jigsaw, which is an old method, and they took lights. When we had to be opening someone's brain with torchlights. There are multiple pictures of doctors operating with torchlights because we don't have the infrastructural backing. And whereas in developed climes, if you want to open that same skull, you'll probably be using laser. So we are not, the doctors are feeling useless.
Well,
they are smart, they are patriots.
You seem to be confirming the same point I'm making. You're still looking at it from the point of view of what the doctor wants for himself, for his career. What the society wants from the doctor. The point you made that Nigerians don't have enough doctors was Nigerians have excess doctors was made by the Minister of Health, and it was challenged. Because many people say so because many of the doctors think that the only place people are sick are in Lagos and in Port Harcourt and in Enugu and in Kano and so on. Nigeria is a vast territory that is undoctored. So the question is, is it that the medical doctor is taking that? We have the wrong people becoming medical doctors in Nigeria because they are there not because they want to heal people, but they want to follow what Jesus Christ said in a very perversive way when they say that physician, heal thyself. You guys want to heal yourself financially, you want to heal your family, you want to heal your career. They are saying that we don't want your money, that you go and you make your dollars in the US and send it here. We want people to be alive first to be able to do that. The statistic that we have too many doctors who have no job is not correct. And you can say that the doctors don't get the right tools to do their job, but the right tools to do their job. But that is one of the issues, one of the great issues that we have to solve. But don't you think that it is also right for the doctors to at least make 5 years of sacrifice, stay in this country, help keep some people alive before they leave? They're not even saying that you should live forever, that you should stay here forever.
Yes, but that is not going to get the job done. If you get a fresh graduate and you post him to Maiduguri or Chibok to be treating women over there who are pregnant, you are sending a butcher to people because he is not skilled. And he needs to get the right set of education. Being a doctor, when I was a medical doctor, I didn't know a lot of things. It was just theoretical. That's why you have to spend, time training. In the United States, even after you graduate from medical school, still go immediately to residency for a minimum of 3 years before you can practice and be able to even prescribe medication to any pharmacy. So that is not the way out, because it's not like doctors are just trying to, to protect their own pockets. It's that they are trying to do their job at the state of the art, just the same way it is. It is just like in every single field. Right now, we are using Zoom, which is good. It is technological, improvement that communication can have access to, like they do in the United States too. So just the same way TVC is at par with maybe CNN and co, doctors also want to be at par with their contemporaries out there. Medicine is a continuum. We keep on learning. We want to be able to have a functional practice. Doctors want to come back to Nigeria. If Nigeria could absorb doctors in the United States, they don't want to face all the racism and all the harsh weather and everything. They want to come back home. But why should I go buy a CT scan that is going to cost maybe $500,000, take it to Kaduna, where nobody can afford to pay 5,000 naira? And I'll give you an example. I practiced with my father in Ondo State, Akure. Back then, if I saw a patient with malaria and I say, I want to do malaria test, they'll call me, doctor, you are a thief, you're just trying to take my money. Then I came to Lagos and I practiced the same medicine. If I saw a patient with malaria and I say, ma, let me give you anti-malaria, I think you have malaria. She said, doctor, you don't know what you are doing. You should test me first so that you can confirm my malaria. What is the difference between Akure and Lagos? It is the economy. In Lagos, they can afford to pay for those cheap malaria parasite tests and maybe some full blood counts. In Akure, they can't because they don't have the money. So how will a doctor practicing in Akure be able to precisely do the job he is trained to do? He will not be able to. How will I be able to save someone with an ischemic stroke when I cannot even do a CT scan within 3 hours? How will I be able to save someone with a heart attack when I cannot even do a bypass? I don't have all the gadgets that I need to use it. How will I be able to save someone with a broken leg when I cannot even see the implants readily available? When NEPA will probably take light, there will be maybe no blood. It is a very terrible situation in terms of the infrastructural support. So it is the fact that even if the doctors are staying, if all the doctors in the United States come back to Nigeria, there will be no jobs for them. That is why, like you said, it's a paradoxical, unemployment. There are not enough doctors in the Nigerian environment, but those few doctors don't even have enough jobs for them to do, because people cannot afford it. Like the Yoruba people will say, "Owo tí ò sí, That is, if you don't have money, you can't treat your diarrhea. Now, if you can't treat your diarrhea because you are broke, who is going to go broke? The doctor, because the doctor is the one that should treat you for diarrhea. So there are much more salient, important things. Fix the exchange rate. The reason why there's an aggravation, apart from the shortage that they've caused 15 years ago, the reason why there's an aggravation of the exodus of doctors is because of the exchange rate. Why should I spend 10 years of my life working as a medical doctor to be earning 80% less just because the value of the currency that I'm earning in has been removed, has been virtually erased? You have to think about sympathy for me too. I want to serve my people, but I need to have my children. I need to be able to take care of them. I need to be able to put roof over their head.
All right.
And so I will see my colleagues in the US doing good and I'm suffering. No, I will want to do that and hope to come back. If we fix Nigeria today, I can assure you about 60% of Nigerian doctors will come back home without thinking about it. They want to come and even invest their own money to build infrastructure. Yes, I talk to them every day. They want to. A lot of them have tried to. They try to come back home and then they invest and then they lose their money. One of my father's friends, who was a dentist, who came back home after training in the United States in the early 90s, tried to start orthodontics in Nigeria. Nobody could afford it. He went to Saudi Arabia, made money, came back, tried to invest in Nigeria again. The whole Nigerian system happened to him. He had to go because he was now in his 70s. His earning potential has diminished and his earning, his life saving that he had come to invest in Nigeria was also evaporated by one land dispute or the other. Nigerian doctors are patriots. We want to come home and take care of our people, but the politicians are getting in our way. They don't train us. They don't fund the training.
How are the politicians getting in the way? Break it down for us.
Because they are not creating an enabling environment for the funding of the residency program and the medical training in general. When I was in medical school, I only touched a microscope twice during exams. I saw pictures of my father in medical school. He had his own microscope in his cupboard, in his locker. That is the reality of the Nigerian medical student. That is the reality of the Nigerian medical doctor. So we need to understand that we have to get out of this economic rut, first fix our exchange rates, at least. People are being forced by abject poverty to leave Nigeria. I know a lot of my colleagues that call me, maybe not on a daily basis, but regularly, that please, I need money. My child needs to pay school fees. They have maybe not paid us for 2 months, or maybe the money is not even enough. I'm the only one working. My wife is not working because there's no job. And I have to send 100,000, 50,000, 20, sometimes 20,000.
There was a story of somebody who wanted to do a surgery. I've forgotten what branch of surgery it was. He went around anyway, went around Lagos and then went online, discovered that they only had 1 or 2 such specialists in Nigeria. All of them had gone out. I said he went to one hospital and they said the specialists came to Nigeria like once a month or so from the UK. And unless you schedule that, you won't have even a consultancy first, so before they decide whether they are going to do the surgery or not. And so we have this kind of problems in the country. I get the point you're making about the career, because I will if I have not done well with my career, how will I do well with my patients? There's that problem, and that we have had a broken medical system, and the broken medical system is not just the hospitals, the lack of equipment, but also the inadequacy of medical training. And if you're not well trained, you don't get that. We get all of these, but how do you guys cope in the West with the fact that you guys are seen as backbenchers in the medical profession? You go there, they give you the odd hours, they give you the long hours, they give you the lowest part of the pay, and yet, although the money is in relative terms to the environment you are working, not something to really compare to your colleagues. You are like a king compared to your colleagues in Nigeria.
Yes, we are like the rose, like Shakespeare said, the rose that grew on concrete with damaged petals, but we survived. That is what we, like you said, that is what we have to face. A lot of patients, my colleagues will talk about, people of, maybe a white patient seeing them and not wanting to see them because they are black, thinks they are probably not as smart and they are probably the best in the system. So those are all the things that we have to face, and we have to, even just the culture shock, just to get into. Imagine a doctor who had spent 10 years, finished residency, is a consultant for maybe almost 10 years, now going back to do medical student exam, USMLE, just so that he can get into the system and get out and start earning a decent amount of living. Like you said, the person that was shopping for a doctor for a particular procedure, that is a person that could afford that procedure, because that procedure is not going to come cheap. All the things that you are going to use, it's not just about your hands. You are going to have to use equipment, some, forceps or whatever things that someone has created and is using. So if that doctor was domiciled in Nigeria, he will not have job, because he will need, maybe that kind of a man will come maybe once in 2 months. So a routine procedure will become a destination procedure. So if that man came to Nigeria, he will also be disillusioned, because it's not like people are not having an attack that can be getting stents fast. I will give a story of one of my very close dear friends who had a heart attack and was taken to University College Hospital. And for over 6 days, he could not get a bypass. They had to move him to an hospital in Lagos, where he got the procedure done after like 9 days. Now, had he had that same procedure, that same condition in the United States, under like 2 hours in the emergency room, they would have done that bypass there and then. The only reason this person was able to survive was because he is a young man. He's in his 30s. So imagine a cardiologist in UCH who cannot perform, who cannot save the life of the patient in front of him, that he knows he has all the skill to save, to intervene.
Dr. Maridot Oludare, it is such a sad picture you have painted, and we hope that perhaps with the incoming government, something will be done quickly to addressing all of these pictures that you have painted. Thank you so much, Dr. Maridot Oludare, a medical doctor and convener of Social Rehabilitation, Grace and Support Initiative from the United States of America, for your time on the program.
Thanks everybody. Bye.
Right.